Winning this award was one of the best surprises of my life. I got very emotional that day, and it was just a highlight of my life. When I was in 5th grade and I went to Steinsville Elementary, one day the 5th graders got to take over the school, and so that day I got to be a 1st grade teacher all day long, and that was definitely, I knew I was in the right spot. I knew that that's what I wanted to be.
So she had my oldest daughter, who is 18 now, and she was in 4th grade when she had Mrs. Majors. And Lydia will say that Mrs. Majors definitely taught her that it was okay to have big dreams. A lot of times when you're in 4th grade and you're like, oh, I'm going to be a vet or I'm going to be the president, some people kind of like, oh, yeah. But Mrs. Majors was real big about, yeah, Lydia, if you want to do anything, you can do anything. And that praise followed Lydia all the way through her high school, and she is actually in college to become a vet. As a student, we all know that you have a list of the teachers that you enjoyed and the teachers that you were like, okay, learn something from that. And my daughter's list of teachers that she enjoyed is very small, and Mrs. Majors is her top one. And she's deserving of any accolade she gets. That lady is a true definition of a good person, good teacher, everything.
So in 2020, when we shut down that spring, I had a really special group of 4th graders that I didn't feel like I got to say goodbye to them, or like I got to finish my teaching with them. So there was an opening in 5th grade, and so I moved to 5th grade that year, and then I've just stayed in 5th grade. Once you're a student in my class, you're one of my kids for life, and so I love to go and watch sporting events that my students, my former students are in. My current students, I love to watch their things as well. So I enjoy going to anything that my kids are involved in. I love to go and be a part of their life outside of school. The day that they came in to tell me that I had gotten the award, my husband had planned for us to go out to dinner that night because he knew that I got the award for a couple of weeks before I knew, and so he had planned to take me to a fancy restaurant that night, but then he said he looked at the calendar and that we were going to a junior high volleyball game that night, and so he was like, well, I guess we'll do that some other night.
Mrs. Majors coming to my kids' events has just been mind-blowing because Lydia was in 4th grade. She was young. She wasn't really into a lot of extracurricular activities, so Mrs. Majors showing up for Lydia actually came as she got older. Sadly, her bonus dad died her freshman year of high school, and Mrs. Majors still showed up to the viewing, to the funeral. And again, my daughter was in high school by then, and she had her in grade school. And I joke with people, but I would not be surprised if that lady didn't show up in Mississippi in 4 years when Lydia graduates from college, because that's just the kind of person that she is.